Marcus Rothwell stood frozen in the doorway of his estate kitchen, watching a small girl crouch by the open oven, sneaking pieces of freshly baked bread into the pockets of her worn beige dress. At 41, Marcus had built a financial empire through calculated decisions and strict discipline. His penthouse apartment sat atop a building he owned, filled with art he'd purchased but never truly looked at, and a kitchen he rarely used except when his housekeeper prepared meals he often ate alone. He'd returned home early from a business trip to find his housekeeper had left bread cooling on the counter, and this child, no more than 5 years old with light brown curls, helping herself to it. His first instinct was to call security. His building had protocols for this. But something made him pause. Perhaps it was the careful way she took only the smallest pieces, trying not to be noticed. Perhaps it was the fact that her small bare feet suggested she'd been walking through the building without shoes. Or perhaps it was the way she kept glancing toward the service entrance, clearly terrified of being caught. Marcus cleared his throat gently. "Hello?" The little girl jumped, nearly dropping her plate. Her eyes went wide with fear, and Marcus saw her calculate whether to run or freeze. She chose to freeze, holding the bread like it was both treasure and evidence of her crime. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I was just so hungry. Please don't call the police. My mama needs me." Marcus felt something crack in his chest. "I'm not calling the police, but I would like to understand what's happening. What's your name?" "Rose." She clutched the bread tighter. "My mama cleans offices in this building at night. She doesn't know I'm here. I was supposed to wait in the utility room, but I smelled the bread and I was so hungry. When did you last eat, Rose?" "Yesterday morning. Mama gave me her breakfast before school, but there wasn't anything for dinner." She looked down at her bare feet. "My shoes got too small and Mama said we have to wait until payday to get new ones. I took them off so I wouldn't make noise walking." Marcus crouched down to her level, his expensive suit forgotten. "Where is your mother now?" "Cleaning the 17th floor. She works from 8 at night until 6 in the morning. I'm supposed to sleep in the utility room and wait for her, but I couldn't sleep because my tummy hurt." "How often do you come here with her?" Rose's eyes filled with tears. "Every night. Our babysitter got sick and Mama can't afford a new one. She says if her boss finds out I'm here, she'll lose her job and we'll have nowhere to live." "Please don't tell. I promise I'll never steal again." Marcus looked at this child who apologized for being hungry, who protected her mother even while suffering, who thought she deserved punishment for taking bread to survive. He thought about his own childhood, about parents who'd provided everything material but nothing emotional, about growing up knowing wealth but not warmth. "You're not in trouble, Rose. And this isn't stealing. This is a hungry child eating food that would have otherwise gone to waste." Marcus stood and moved to his refrigerator, pulling out cheese, fruit, juice. "But bread alone isn't a proper meal. Would you like to help me make you something better?" Rose stared at him with disbelief. "You're not mad?" "I'm not mad. I'm concerned. A child shouldn't be this hungry. Now, do you like cheese sandwiches?" Over the next hour, Marcus learned Rose's story. Her mother, Diana, was a single parent working 3 cleaning jobs to support them after Rose's father had disappeared 2 years ago. They lived in a subsidized apartment in a dangerous neighborhood, surviving paycheck to paycheck. Diana brought Rose to work because she had no other choice, hiding her in utility rooms and hoping no one noticed. "Mama cries sometimes when she thinks I'm asleep," Rose confided, eating her sandwich with careful bites like she wanted to make it last. "She's so tired all the time. But she always makes sure I get to school and have clean clothes, and she reads me stories even when she's too tired to keep her eyes open." Marcus felt something shift fundamentally inside him. He'd spent years accumulating wealth, buying things, chasing deals that increased his net worth, but never his happiness. This child who had nothing spoke about her mother's love like it was the greatest treasure in the world. "Rose, I'd like to meet your mother. Would you take me to her?" Rose looked worried. "She'll be scared. She'll think she's in trouble. Then we'll make sure she knows she's not. That she's actually helped me understand something very important." They found Diana on the 17th floor, scrubbing floors in the empty office building Marcus owned but rarely visited. She was perhaps in her mid-30s, thin from too many skipped meals, exhaustion evident in every movement. When she saw Rose with Marcus, her face went white with terror. Mr. Rothwell, I'm so sorry. I know I'm not supposed to have her here. Please, I need this job. I'll never bring her again. I'll figure something else out. Please don't fire me. Mrs. Anderson, I'm not firing you. I'm here because your daughter was hungry and found food in my kitchen. We need to talk about why a child is so hungry she risks getting caught stealing bread. Diana's eyes filled with tears. I give her everything I have. I work as much as I can. But after rent and her school supplies and keeping the electricity on, there's barely anything left for food. I skip meals so she can eat, but lately even that isn't enough. Marcus felt anger rise, not at Diana, but at a system that made a hard-working mother choose between feeding her child and paying for shelter. How much do you make across all three of your cleaning jobs? Diana named a figure that was probably less than Marcus spent on coffee in a month. It's not enough. I know it's not enough, but I'm doing my best. You're doing more than your best. You're doing the impossible. Marcus pulled out his phone. Here's what's going to happen. Effective immediately, you're fired from all three of your cleaning positions. Diana swayed, and Rose grabbed her mother's hand, both of them looking terrified. Please no. How will we survive? You're fired because I'm hiring you for a different position. I need someone to manage the residential staff for my properties. The salary is $80,000 a year to start, plus health insurance and housing in one of my renovated apartments. The position comes with the understanding that Rose is welcome in your workspace until we arrange proper after-school care. Diana stared at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. That's not real. People don't do things like that. I'm doing it. Your daughter broke into my home looking for bread because she was hungry. That's unacceptable. Not because she did something wrong, but because I've been so disconnected from the lives of the people who work for me that I didn't know they were struggling. Marcus crouched down to Rose's level. Thank you for being brave enough to look for food. You taught me something important tonight. What did I teach you? Rose asked, her small face serious. That success means nothing if the people around you are suffering. That I've been so focused on making money that I forgot about making lives better. That sometimes the most important thing a person can do is notice when someone is hungry and share their bread. Over the following weeks, Marcus's life transformed in ways he'd never anticipated. Diana proved to be brilliant at managing staff, bringing efficiency and compassion to operations he'd neglected. Rose became a frequent visitor to his penthouse, doing homework at his kitchen table while her mother worked, slowly teaching him about children's books and playground politics, and the pure joy of coloring within the lines. His business associates thought he'd lost his mind. You're paying her how much for what? She's a cleaning woman. She's a mother who was working 3 jobs and still couldn't feed her child. She's a person who deserves dignity and fair compensation. If you can't understand that, the failure is yours, not mine. Marcus began paying attention to all his employees, learning about their struggles, increasing wages, offering benefits that actually helped. His company's expenses went up. His profits still grew because his workers, finally paid fairly and treated with respect, became fiercely loyal and productive. But the most profound change was personal. Marcus found himself looking forward to evenings not for business calls, but for dinners with Diana and Rose. Diana was intelligent and funny once the terror of survival eased from her shoulders. Rose was spirited and curious, asking questions that made him see the world differently. Mr. Marcus, why do you have so many rooms in your house if you live all alone? Rose asked one evening, helping him set the table for dinner. I don't know. I never really thought about it. That's sad. All these rooms and nobody to share them with. Mama and I only have 2 rooms, but we're together so it feels full. Your big house feels empty. Diana looked mortified. Rose, that's rude. No, she's right, Marcus said quietly. I have everything and I'm lonelier than I've ever been. I built all of this thinking it would make me happy. Your daughter stole bread from my kitchen and gave me something far more valuable, perspective. 6 months after finding Rose in his kitchen, Marcus did something that shocked everyone who knew him. He proposed to Diana, not with a grand gesture or expensive ring, but with a simple question asked during a quiet dinner in the kitchen where it all began. I've spent 41 years accumulating things that don't matter. These past months with you and Rose have taught me what actually matters. Connection, family, showing up for the people you love. Diana, I love you. I love your strength and your kindness, and the way you've raised an extraordinary daughter against impossible odds. I love Rose and the way she sees the world with such honesty. Will you both let me be part of your family?" Diana looked at him with tears streaming down her face. "I have nothing to offer you. You're a millionaire. I'm a single mother who came to you desperate and struggling. You have everything to offer me. You have authenticity and love, and a daughter who teaches me daily that the best things in life aren't bought but shared. You've given my empty house purpose by filling it with laughter and homework and dinner conversations that matter more than any business deal I've ever closed." Rose, who'd been listening carefully, climbed into Marcus's lap. "Does this mean you're going to be my daddy?" "If you'll have me. I know I'm not your biological father, and I'll never try to replace him in your memory. But I would be honored to be your dad, to show up for school plays and help with homework, and teach you that you never ever have to steal bread because you're hungry. You just have to ask, and anything I have is yours." "Okay," Rose said simply. "You can be my daddy. But you have to promise to always keep bread in the kitchen, just in case other hungry kids need it." "Deal," Marcus said, his voice thick with emotion. The wedding was intimate and meaningful. Rose served as flower girl, wearing a dress she'd helped choose and shoes that fit perfectly. Diana wore a simple gown and looked happier than Marcus had ever seen her. They didn't need elaborate ceremonies or expensive venues. They just needed each other and the family they'd accidentally created in a kitchen over stolen bread. At the reception, Marcus gave a toast that made everyone cry. 6 months ago, I caught a little girl stealing bread from my kitchen. I could have called security, filed a report, had her mother fired. Instead, I asked why she was hungry. That question changed my entire life. Rose and Diana taught me that wealth without compassion is meaningless, that success without connection is just expensive loneliness, and that sometimes the most valuable thing we can do is share our bread with someone who needs it. I found my family in the most unexpected way, and I'm grateful every day for the child who was brave enough to be hungry, and the mother who raised her to be honest, even in desperation. The millionaire who'd caught a little girl stealing bread had learned something more valuable than any business lesson. That the richest life isn't measured in bank accounts, but in moments of shared meals, homework help, bedtime stories, and the privilege of being called daddy by a child who taught him that sometimes the greatest wealth is simply showing up with an open heart and a willingness to share what you have. Rose grew up in that penthouse apartment. Never hungry again, always knowing she was loved. She learned that her act of desperate hunger had saved not just herself, but a lonely man who'd forgotten how to be human. And Marcus learned that sometimes the most important catch isn't a business deal or financial opportunity, but the chance to choose compassion over judgment, to share bread with the hungry, and to build a family from the unexpected gifts of honesty, need, and love. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a small act of kindness that changed someone's life. Your stories inspire us all,